everyone. One of the people that follow me asked a question, and I'm really grateful she brought it up because it's actually something that I face in my own recovery, and I've had to learn how to manage it and how to pursue my recovery with love through the mental processing around this. And that is the idea of exercise and the attachment of guilt and shame or feelings of frustration that come with the recovery and exercising or not exercising. It couldn't have come at a better moment for her to ask this because I actually struggled with that today. I had woken up and I was ready to go for a run, nothing excessive, just my usual run in the morning. And when I woke up, I felt lethargic and the sun hadn't risen properly and I was tired, and for some reason my body felt a little bit fatigued. I then had to make the choice as to whether I was going to stay in bed and listen to my body, give it the extra rest that it needed, or whether I was going to go for the run. I decided not to go for the run because in the moment that was the loving thing for me to do, to listen to my body. Slowly but surely throughout the morning, I had this feeling that I just couldn't start my day. It seemed like this idea that I hadn't performed the exercise in the way that I had imagined and planned it in my head was now crippling me for the rest of my day. And this is when I had to catch myself in that moment and realize this is eating disordered thinking. This is not serving you. This is the attachment of guilt around not being perfect. What I had to do was allow myself to get going in my day without having exercise have been the defining point of whether I felt like my day was a success or not. So I decided to listen to my body. I decided to get out into the sunshine and to visit family members, because my automatic go-to was that I now wanted to isolate. I now felt like my day hadn't been productive, and in my head I was projecting when I could exercise again next. And this is not very healthy thinking. You see, there shouldn't be an attachment of guilt to any form of eating or of exercising. And when you are in your recovery, you recognize that this is vital to your sanity. The ability to listen to your body and say, you know what, today I actually am a bit tired and I need the extra hour sleep in the morning. Or to be able to know that you are stiff from the day before. Maybe you did something that you're not used to, or moved your body in a way you're not used to. Or maybe you just felt like taking a break, and that's really okay. I think the problem comes in with the black and white thinking, with this either I must push my body to the nth extreme and I must sweat and justify my existing in that day with exercise, or it's this idea that I can't actually even get my day started without completing this activity the way that I had perfected it in my head. The thing here is to try and come to a middle ground where you're able to recognize your body's needs and wants, and you're able to give yourself love, but to know that you don't have to necessarily do it in the way that you'd expected to do it. So, for instance, if you decided you wanted to go for a run in the morning and you wake up and you're feeling fatigued and you're tired, or you hadn't had enough sleep, then it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to shut everything down and that you can't even get on with the rest of the day. It means that you let go, and you can exercise the next day or the next day or the next day or later that evening if you really want to, and if it's coming from a place of love. Any time that we are using exercise to avoid the way we're feeling, or to avoid facing our emotions or dealing with a problem, or if we're using exercise to cope with what's going on around us, any rigidity, if we are neglecting other areas of our lives because we aren't able to exercise the way we want to, that is eating disordered exercise addiction, and that is what you need to be careful of. And I myself am also a person who gets stuck in it sometimes, and I have to really pick apart what's really going on for me. And you know what? Today I spent the first 3 hours of the morning procrastinating because I hadn't done what I'd expected in my head. And it built up a lot of anxiety, a lot of feelings of not being able to get started, a lot of guilt, and that kind of thing. But I then had to make the decision, am I going to let this define the rest of my day, or am I going to let it go and get on with living, of seeing the beautiful sunshine, of spending time with family, of doing the things that really matter, letting go of the attachment to any shape or of your body, or the attachment to any way of eating, or the attachment to any way of exercising, is what brings you true freedom in your heart, your mind, and your soul. The most important thing is that your body knows what it needs. And sometimes what it needs is rest. And sometimes what it needs is activity. You've just got to be able to start listening to yourself and then giving yourself what you need in that present moment without feeling horrible about it, without feeling guilt, without feeling shame, without feeling like you haven't achieved or you haven't accomplished. Often that compulsion that comes around exercising is because of a desire to feel in control. And this desire to feel in control, because we are so used to controlling our physical bodies, we then feel that the only way we can feel in control with the things that are going on around us, with our emotions, with our feelings, is by controlling our bodies. So sometimes what I like to do when I'm stuck in this real weird procrastinating in and out of exercise, not really knowing how to listen to my body, sometimes what really helps me is to look at what is it that I am feeling out of control of, and what am I trying to control? Is there anything that I can do differently, or is there a mindset or a thinking pattern that I can change or adjust or address? I think the most important thing to recognize is that exercise should not be something that robs you of your joy. It should be something that makes you feel empowered and energized. And it should be something that you can be okay without. You will learn over time. And if you need some guidance, sometimes what really helps is to follow a exercise plan that is developed by someone who does deal with eating disorders. That would be really helpful if you're unsure about your own exercise routine. And then to know that you don't need to get stuck in the rigidity of it. So if you don't follow the plan exactly, it's okay. The thing is to be okay with the discomfort, and then to know that it passes. That for me is a really big thing when it comes to exercise. And I don't always get it right. I sometimes catch myself in the middle of something going, oh my gosh, what is going on here? It becomes really important to look at what's going on for you emotionally and what it is that you're feeling out of control of, and then to really try address those things. And then if you feel like you want to be active afterwards, that's great. And if you feel like you don't want to be active afterwards, that's also great. As long as you're not doing it to punish yourself, or as a justification for eating food, or as a way to control your external or internal environment, then you know what? Exercise is totally cool, and you never have to feel guilty about any way, shape, or form that you. It's up to you and your journey. You need to do what is coming from a place of love for you, and you're the only one who can recognize and be honest with yourself enough to know what the real answer is. Is it coming from love, or is it coming from avoidance and compulsion? And if it's coming from love, then go ahead and do it. But if it's coming from those other places, it's probably a good idea to just let yourself go and to just allow yourself some calm and some peace. Also know that there is a gray area for that balance. So if you feel like you want to go for a walk instead of a run you had planned, go for the walk and enjoy it. Feel your body moving. Feel yourself thriving and your blood flowing, and allow yourself to take in the scenery. One of the best things I ever did when I was in early recovery was I went for a run, and at first I decided it was going to be like a hectic run, but as I was running, I suddenly stopped, and then I realized, wow, I can actually stop while I'm running. And I started walking, and I started looking at the birds and the ducks and everything that was around me, and I started going, wow, I can actually stop this action and I can take in the life and the love around me. And so today when I exercise, some days it's a really slow lethargic walk, some days it's deep yoga, some days it's weights and I'm dripping with sweat, and other days I do nothing, so it's about that balance, and knowing that if you are injured or sick or anything like that, you really should try avoid doing exercise intensely. Maybe at the beginning there are some guidelines and some suggestions in order to try and help you get on track, but when you reach full recovery, there don't have to be any rules. There only has to be love. So with that, I hope you've enjoyed this. If you have, please consider subscribing by clicking below and sending any comments if you have any questions or would like to see any videos on any other topics. And remember that 100% of the time with eating disorders or any body stuff or self-image, it's really not about the food.